My name is Tanika Reed. I'm in cohort 6 of the Teach Now program, and this is my reflection on InTASC standards 1 through 10. So we're going to get started. InTASC standard 1, learner development. Um, the critical disposition for that is the teacher respects learners' differing strength and needs and is committed to use this information to further each learner's development. The teacher is committed to using learner's strength as a base for growth and the miscommunications as opportunities for learning. The teacher takes responsibility for promoting learners' growth and development. The teacher values the input and contributions of families, colleagues, and other professionals in understanding and supporting each learner's development. So I would have to say all of these learner development, critical dispositions can be seen in any video. I hold the scholars' respect of me and my respective scholars in a high regard. I also hold parent interaction and teacher collaboration in a regard. As you can see, from some of my videos, you will see that teachers pull into my classroom frequently to observe my teaching practices. They are also in there doing small groups to utilize and see how my small groups are being ran. You will also see that if you look in my lesson plans, I have included the misconceptions for each lesson that I teach. Although some of the lessons may have some of the same misconceptions because I teach the same thing maybe 2 or 3 times, but I and engage. They show you different ways to find the same answer. So a lot of the misconceptions may be the same. Um, some of them can be pictorially, some of them can be numerically. Some of them can be in steps. They either forgot a step or missed a step. And then teacher values the input and contribution of families. During during our parent conferences, I always write down what parents' concerns are. I have a document that I write it on. I always share if it's a concern that I can handle directly. I normally do. If it's a concern that's higher than my pay grade, I normally pass it off. Again, I always provide the admin team with a list of things that my parents need or they need in order to support their scholars to be a better student. All right. Standard 2, learning differences. So learning differences not only talks about diverse learning, but learning differences as a whole. The critical disposition says the teacher believes that all learners can achieve at high levels and persist in helping each learner reach his or her full potential. The teacher respects learners as individuals in differing personal and family backgrounds and various skills, ability, perspective, talents, and interests. The teacher makes learner feel valued, and helps them learn to value each other. The teacher values diverse languages and dialects and seeks to integrate them into his or her instructional practices to engage students in learning. So you can see all of these in my videos, probably throughout the whole clinical practice, is that I do believe that every learner has a voice, and I do believe that every learner's voice should be valued. I do believe in a student-led classroom with teacher supports. I do believe in the growth linguistically of each scholar. You will hear me use a lot of math terminology. You will also hear my scholars use a lot of math terminology to either if they're discussing a way to solve a problem with another scholar, or if they are debriefing us on a problem that they completed and that they will and they tell us the steps. So you will hear my scholars using a lot of math terminology. You will also see a lot of respect amongst my scholars. A lot of my scholars came to me with a deficiency in math, and thus I tell them every day, like, we have a push through mentality. As a matter of fact, push through is our mantra. We say it every day, and they actually, I would say, maybe a month in, they really started to believe it, and I started to see like a big difference in the way they interacted with each other and the way that they interacted with other teachers that came to visit. Standard 3, learning environments. A critical disposition is the teacher is committed to working with learners, colleagues, families, and communities to establish positive and supportive learning environments. The teacher values the role of learners in promoting each other's learning and recognizing the importance of peer relationships in establishing a climate of learning. The teacher is committed to support learners as they participate in decision making, engage in exploration and invention, work collaboratively and independently, and engage in purposeful learning. The teacher seeks to foster respectful communication amongst all members of the learning community. The teacher is a thoughtful and responsive listener and observer. So these are also well played out in every video that I submit. I am a very respectful person. I'll give respect just as well as I demand respect back. When I first got there, my scholars was not as respectful to each other, but working with them to build that, the everybody deserves respect, everybody should get it and give it. They clearly understand like the expectations of the learning environment for them, and how my learning environment went from them not interacting with each other to them interacting with each other more than they kind of interacted with me. um I do see that each one teach one has a permanent place in my classroom. I feel like as a teacher, I'm just a facilitator. I feel like a lot of the scholars, after I have done the I do section, um, they have a good grasp on content, and so thus they teach it to each other. I handle most of my misconceptions through the lens of the I do section or a reteach in a small group. Content knowledge. The teacher realizes that content knowledge is not a fixed body of facts, but is complex, culturally situated, and ever evolving. And keeps abreast of new ideas, understandings in the field. The teacher appreciates multiple perspectives with the discipline and facilities of learners' critical analysis with these perspectives. The teacher recognizes the potential of biases and representation of the discipline, and seeks appropriate addressing problems of biases. The teacher and committee is committed to working towards learners mastery, discipline, and content and skills. I have to say that this per se is a really good one. I feel like content knowledge goes so much further than the curriculum that we use, and it goes so much further than the teacher's interpretation of the curriculum. It goes so much further than the scholar's understanding of the curriculum. I think that it's based on I really think like in this standard, like this is the importance of having a PLC, because it allows you to play out a picture of different chapters in this book, right? So the book is math. My chapter is grade 5. The chapter before me is grade 3. The chapter after me is grade 6. The chapter after grade 6 is grade 7. So if we take something as simple as adding, just the standard that deals with adding, or if you take numbers and operations, and we see how that plays out amongst each grade level in this great novel, then we have a better understanding of how content knowledge works, why it's so important to use these words when you're teaching math at this grade level, because when they see it in this, the next step up is to be adding more words for the same thing as addition, or more words for numbers and operations. And so I think like this content knowledge is solely based in the teacher's understanding of how your grade level plays out in a larger book. Okay. Standard 5, application of content. um the teacher is constantly exploring to use disciplinary knowledge as a lens to address local and global issues. The teacher values understanding outside of his or her own content, and such knowledge enhances student learning. The teacher values flexible learning environments and encourage learners' exploration, discovery, and expression across content areas. So you will see this a lot of being utilized in my class, especially when it comes to the manipulation of vocabulary. Because in fifth grade math, we deal with a lot of real world problems through word problems, and the scholars have to find a solution. Um, Sometimes you'll see my scholar like pouring water into different containers so they can understand what that gallon formula that I put on the board meant. Or you'll see scholars using measurement. You'll see scholars using measurement in science too. Just to say, we did a unit on can I outrun a dinosaur? And so they were measuring each other's legs, they were measuring the hallway, they was measuring everything. And so a lot of them were like, oh, we only use rulers in math. I said, no, you use rulers in math, science, and social studies if you need it. I said it might not be a ruler per se, but we have lines of latitude, longitude that is measured in degrees. So just making sure that they understand like the things that may have started in math can grow into something so much beautiful than math. It can be applied to science, social studies, and reading at some point. So yeah, those are all the things that we talked about in the application of content. We also had a unit on Black Lives Matter. Um, and this was just our social emotional unit that the kids actually wanted to that they voted on to do. So we saw a lot of math in the Black Lives. We saw a lot of math. If it was ordering T-shirts, which all of us got a Black Lives Matter T-shirt that was donated by an outside organization. Well, the monetary funds was given to us by an outside organization. They saw how important, like in this in the project that we did, the Lives Matter project, they saw the importance of area of where a lot of these incidences were happening. So they were using social studies to for their PBL. They were doing a lot of things that was math related, and they were able to pick those things out. And so standard 6 dealt with assessments. My critical disposition, the teacher is committed to engaging learners actively in assessments processes and to develop each learner's capacity to review and communicate about their own progress in learning. The teacher takes responsibility for aligning instruction and assessment with learning goals. The teacher is committed to providing timely and effective descriptive feedback to learners on their progress. The teacher is committed to using multiple types of assessment processes to support, verify, and document learning. The teacher is committed to making accommodations to assist and testing conditions, especially for learners with disability, language learning needs. The teacher is committed to the ethical use of various assessments and assessment data to identify learner strengths and needs to promote learning growth. So so the curriculum we use does heavily support formative and summative assessments. But we didn't just stop there. Because most of their formative or summative assessments, they do have a website that Eureka has called Formative. They do provide online versions of your exit ticket, and your kids can take it online. They grade it right there and store it as data. Unfortunately, the school that I work at this year, they couldn't afford to purchase Formative, so most of our assessments were done on paper, which I thought, boo-hoo, we're not going to just continue to do it on paper. So we added a interest ticket. The interest ticket was mostly done online. The SEO check-in is done online in the morning, so they were able to do that on the laptops. It is a formative assessment for social emotional learning goals. It also allotted me time to check in with the students that I know wasn't having a good day the first 10 minutes of class. And then during our SEL presentation for the school wide, I also was checking on them just to make sure that they were, okay. And we were able to have a quick conversation about the things that would happen to them, either at home, at school, anything that was going on with them socially, emotionally. Another formative assessment that I really love is to stop, jot, and reveal. The stop, jot, and reveal allowed me to see where scholars uh, was having misconceptions during the fluency practice. Some fluency practice was previews, and some of fluency practice was reviews. So either way it was going in the viewing, preview, or review of content, it still allotted me time to jot down the students that I needed to quickly check in with. I had a whiteboard kidney table, so I was able to quickly jot down the names to make sure that I checked in with them doing small group activities. Uh, Again, we use a plethora of assessments. IXL, if a scholar was struggling to get through one of the modules, they immediately sent me an email, or I was able to check from the teacher dashboard. I also had I also used another site, which I can't even think of the name of it right now, but it provided numbers and operations. It provided just a quick synopsis of add and subtracting, multiplying, dividing. So it was a review of those skills from primary grades. Um, standard seven. Standard seven is planning for instruction. The critical disposition is the teacher respects learners' diversity, strengths, and needs, and is committed to using this information to plan effective instruction. The teacher values planning as a collegial activity and takes into consideration the input of learners, colleagues, families, and the larger community. The teacher takes professional responsibility to use short and long term planning as means as assuring students' learning. The teacher believes that plans must always be open to adjustment, revision based on learners' needs and changing circumstances. So I definitely show this mostly in my lesson planning though, but I do show it a lot in class. Like I think one time we were using a Cahoots, and instead of having the horizontal fraction line, they had a vertical one. So I had to explain to them like this is still a fraction line. It's just either a vertical or diagonal. So they that was like a small mini list, and they was able to get it the first time around. And so now they understand anytime I see a fraction like this is what it is. Um, I also use previous lessons and my exit tickets to plan for instruction the next day. I have had a lot of times where I had to like go back and teach the fourth grade standards doing content and then walk them into the fifth grade standard. I had to do that a lot of times because either they was either teaching them over their head, or just the pictorial model was not really getting it for the scholars that were really into the numerical form. I also do realize that a lot of scholars, depending on their learning styles, was prefer one model over another. My textile learners are usually the learners that get left behind, but I wanted to make sure I also had something for them to do. That's why I have fraction strips and different things like that.